The internet message board 8chan went offline just a few minutes ago. Our last check at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. It is offline. This after the internet infrastructure company Cloudflare stopped providing support for the site. Officials believe the suspect in the El Paso shooting posted a white nationalist message on the site just before that attack. Cloudflare says it will no longer help 8chan online because it believes the site is, quote, lawless. It goes on to say this: even if 8chan may not have violated the letter of the law in refusing to moderate their hate-filled community, they have created an environment that revels in violating its spirit. Look, there's a lot to focus on with this website that police say the alleged gunman posted his manifesto to. That site is now down as of 3 a.m. Eastern Time. The chat board is rife with white supremacist and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. How significant is it that the site is now offline, or does that even matter? Do these people just find another place to go?
In the long run, I'm afraid it won't matter very much. It's a very important site for this particular group, if we can call it that. It's not really an organized group, but aficionados of these kinds of conspiracy causes, extreme right-wing causes that like to connect in the digital domain and seek one another's approval, seek one another's ideas, seek to communicate. And the big concern now the last few months has been that this kind of platform, in this case 8chan or Infinity Channel, is also a platform for actually radicalizing these people. So it's not just communication that's the concern, but that we now have people who go there to get the ideas, to maybe get the urging from fellow people on the website to launch these kinds of attacks. And yes, you're right, George, it's a concern here in the sense that this particular site may go down, but we've seen in the past that time and time again, they find new platforms to use, and often it takes law enforcement, if not several days, at least several weeks to catch up, to figure out where people migrated to, and to then start to monitor the new platform.
Minutes before the chaos and terror unleashed on families shopping at Walmart in El Paso, the accused gunman may have spelled out why he waged war on innocents. A hate-filled manifesto railing against immigrants, calling it the Hispanic invasion. The Post also praises ideas set forth in another manifesto written by the person identifying himself as the Christchurch, New Zealand shooter, who massacred 51 people as they prayed in 2 mosques in March. And months later, police believe another racist suspect posted an open letter minutes before shooting up a California synagogue. All of them posted in the same place, 8chan, a public website that is a racist virtual paradise.
I think 8chan is among one of the more influential sites that plays a role in radicalizing young men when it comes to far-right extremism.
It is just one of many open forums that host hatred. 4chan, Gab, and the neo-Nazi site Daily Stormer are favorites of white supremacists and neo-Nazis.
What we have now are attacks that are not only designed to kill, but they're designed to be replicated online, to spread their poison across the internet and to inspire others.
These websites and forums use companies that provide infrastructure for the sites to run smoothly online. Cloudflare, run by Chief Executive Matthew Prince, serviced the Daily Stormer until 2017, when he faced pressure to drop it after the deadly violence in Charlottesville, Virginia. Last night, Cloudflare dropped 8chan, calling the site lawless and that it caused multiple tragic deaths. And another service provider, Voxility, earlier today also dropped 8chan. 8chan has not responded to CNN's inquiries. One of the administrators of 8chan has said on Twitter that we will be moving to another service ASAP. Please excuse any downtime. For their part, law enforcement is grappling with how to keep up with these forums. In July, the FBI put out requests for bids for social media monitoring companies, so investigators can mitigate multifaceted threats. But if the sites are shut down, it could make it harder for law enforcement to monitor.
The FBI can't simply troll through websites. There has to be a predicated investigation. But even if they could, they would be hampered by the fact that there's so much garbage out there on these sites. Also, rarely do these shooters telegraph in advance the carnage that they're about to cause.
In a congressional hearing on domestic terrorism this year, Homeland Security officials were asked about how to deal with these sites. Their response? an uncomfortable silence.
Do you have any recommendations for what can be done to address the viral hate speech and incitement of violence found on fringe sites like 8chan and Gab? And that's for any of you. Y'all don't have any suggestions for us? That's scary.
That is scary, and a lot of people are talking about what to do next. We do have to mention, obviously in this country, Jake, that hate speech has been, by the Supreme Court, protected as free speech. What is not protected is inciting people to violence, and that line is easily blurred on places like 8chan. What has to be talked about, if you talk to law enforcement, is a multifaceted approach to dealing with this, but certainly the problem of white supremacy and violence isn't going away anytime soon.
May God bless the memory of those who perished in Toledo. May God protect them. May God protect all of those from Texas to Ohio. May God bless the victims and their families. May God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now we have a reaction from Congressman Tim Ryan from Ohio, and of course also a Democratic candidate for president. You may have noticed that when the president concluded his remarks, he seemed to reference the wrong city. Of course, the shooting was in Dayton, but he said Toledo. That is right. Tim Ryan's response, Toledo, F me. John Avlon, a moment where the president, didn't seem to have specific knowledge of where this tragedy, 9 dead people, actually took place in the state of Ohio.
The wrong city in Ohio. And presumably, I mean, you got to imagine that's not in the teleprompter. I understand Tim Ryan's frustration from the great city of Youngstown, Ohio. These cities are not fungible, but it's about what emotional mark did this massacre make in your heart and in your mind? And then can you be bothered to remember the right city's name? And then can you focus on the real underlying issue? In the history of mass shootings we've had in this country, and there have been far too many for far too long, what's new is the introduction of white nationalist terrorism that is on the rise in America. And the president checked the box by mentioning it. But he's got to do more than that. Yeah. He's got to lead. Mitch McConnell said that criminal justice reform was dead. President Trump used his political power to get that passed. Is he going to show the same kind of sustained leadership? Or is this just going to be another speech undercut by a tweet hours, if not days later?
President Obama, as you know, he rarely, since leaving office, weighs in on these kinds of issues publicly. He put out a very powerful statement today. And let me read once again a little piece of that. He said, "We should soundly reject language coming out of the mouths of any of our leaders that feeds a climate of fear and hatred or normalizes racist sentiments, leaders who demonize those who don't look like us or suggest that other people, including immigrants, threaten our way of life or refer to other people as subhuman or imply that America belongs to just one certain type of people." That's a part of the statement from President Obama. It's clear he's referring to the current president. I assume you agree.
Of course I agree. And again, you just contrast the words, and you don't even need to know who they're coming from to know that one are the words of a leader and the other are the words of someone who does not understand and is not actually a leader. President Obama is absolutely spot on and has a history of being spot on these issues. And, listen, Donald Trump he does not understand, I think, the importance and the responsibility of being president of the United States. When it comes to speaking to our better angels, when it comes to speaking to our better selves, when it comes to elevating discourse and engaging all Americans to think of ourselves as all being in this together. And he, on this issue in particular, was playing golf for most of the day. Are you kidding me? Blood is streaming. Babies are being orphaned, and he's playing golf. So just across the board, when you look at the behavior, the action, and the words of this current president, America deserves better.